All right, everybody, welcome back to Success on the Spectrum, the podcast. You've got Lyndsay, Chey, Morgan, and Brittany as per usual. Also, as per usual, we are not medical, psychological, or spiritual professionals. Please regard any information following this as such.
I actually do consider myself a spiritual professional, but the rest of
Well,
those are true.
there you go. Please don't come after us for anything that we say right now because we're learning at the same time all of you are. We are doing this together. So, welcome to our I think week 8 now. We did just have a bye week, so welcome back, ladies. Life has been lifing. Let's do support systems, shall we? Speaking of life has been lifing, we're going to talk today about how you show up when you do not want to, when you're feeling burnout or social situations that you're not prepared for, any of those things. What systems do you have in place to keep you showing up? Because Lord knows that we do. Half of us on this call right now are showing up. So, Britt, you want to kick us off? What you do? What are your systems?
I would love to because this is exactly how I was feeling this morning. And sometimes it is because of the weather, sometimes it's because of where you are, like in your cycle, ladies, especially. Sometimes it's just the overwhelm, but there are definitely a lot of times throughout our week or our month, and it fluctuates where we don't want to. We just want to stay in sweats and turn everything off. And a lot of times, if for neurodivergence, that can also be a very sudden initiation to where you were having a totally fine, normal, productive, whatever day. And there was some kind of trigger or change of circumstance or requirement into transitioning to the next part of the day that like threw you off. And like, for example, sometimes, I'm having a totally normal, productive day, and then I have like some kind of commitment or like event or place I have to go, and like my outfit makes me cry. And now it doesn't feel right. It's not the way I envisioned it. And like now I don't want to go. And I will be 100% honest. In my earlier adolescence, I was the person who just didn't come last minute. That's how I used to deal with it. And, sometimes depending on what that situation is, I mean, back in college or when I was younger, a lot of times it was like I said, I would go to the party and then I was like, nah, I'm not coming. What's the harm in that? Not much. But as an adult, when you start making commitments and, you transition to parenthood or, ownership of a company or sole proprietorship, you don't have that opportunity to just say no when you don't want to randomly. So, of some of the things that have helped me a lot, and it's three things specifically. And this actually, like, this really used to be my identity. It was like I would flake, and that is not. And I would say like identity is probably the biggest part of my support systems is because now I'm like, am I the person who shows up and am I the person that people count on? So shifting my identity to how people receive me and who I can be for those people in life has helped me a lot. But there still are times where like I absolutely cannot come. Perfect example. I don't know what I did to my neck, but basically this entire week I haven't been able to move my head. And I tried to like go to the gym, stretch it out. I made it way worse. Anyways, so we got invited to a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new business in Hutto. And the next day they had like a promo video that they were shooting. And so we got invited to like come take part in the promo video and like kind of have a good time and just like look good on camera. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, we can't make it. I really appreciate it. This would have been awesome, but like, I can't move my head. So there are times where I still am like, I'm not coming because you have to figure out what is your priorities. Like, when it's genuine family or health, that has to come first. So identity is number one, showing up the way that you want others to show up for you, but also just be the person that honors your commitments. If it's a legitimate commitment, like you just go. I know that's not much help, but like sometimes we do shit that we don't want to do, and that's what being an adult is, and that's how people become successful. My second thing, and this is a little bit different. Like my why, I think, is a little bit different than my identity. Because let's say, for example, I mean, I still knock doors for our business, but A lot of times it could be easy to like not want to go knock doors or whatever the case may be, whether, and it's, for me, it's more the why, where it's like, okay, I don't want to make this content. I don't want to figure out this system. I don't want to do the books. But it's like, but what am I doing? I'm building an empire with my husband and building a business with my husband. Like, I don't get to just be like, wait, I don't want to, because nobody else is going to do it. So the fact of like having a big vision for something that I'm trying to build and imagining 3, 5, 10 years down the line when I've created an opportunity for, lots of employees, where I've empowered leaders, where I have, built collaboration bridges across multiple brands or companies, and I've become this version of myself I would only become through doing those things. Again, comes back to identity, but you just have to show up. And the third thing, this is going to be my nerdy thing, okay? I called it like tools slash amulets. Y'all know how I love rocks, right? Okay, so I love using things like crystals, and I don't care if it's placebo, I believe in the vibe, but I love using tools like crystals to kind of get me through like situations. Like, if I'm feeling super anxious, there's like certain crystals or certain necklaces or whatever that I will wear. Or actually, a couple weeks ago, I wasn't in a really good headspace and I had to go to a networking event, and I had this green aventurine, and it just like was super soothing to me, and I just had it in my pocket and I was just rubbing it the whole time. And for like 2 or 3 days during one week, a couple weeks ago, I just didn't leave the house without my rock.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, and like whatever that is for you. Maybe it's a little fidget spinner, maybe it's something else. Maybe this sounds like super dumb, but that's what works for me. So, um, who wants next?
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that so much. I'm literally wearing fidget
Yeah,
spinners
maybe
right
you
now.
maybe
Like,
you share, Lindsay, because you've been playing with your rocks
no,
this whole time.
I,
Uh,
I'm gonna go last because I have something I think that's
Okay,
crucial to be said. Yeah, actually, Mo, if you wouldn't
yeah.
mind.
go Mo.
Yeah. Well, a couple things resonated with me from what Brittany said that are very similar to mine. But whenever I don't want to show up, I literally shift my mindset to what I'm going to feel like if I don't. And every time I think really it's a self trust thing. And what you realize over the course of experiences is that when you show up for yourself, even when you don't want to, you're building that trust with yourself. So every time you don't do something that you say you're going to do, I always used to joke around on doors like, maybe no one's watching, but someone's watching, right? And the way that I feel about myself when I don't show up, it's like the way I feel when I don't want to is completely different. So building self-trust with yourself and showing up and knowing like my why is the bigger vision, right? And you mentioned that as well, but it's bringing yourself back to the why. And I think in past experiences my why wasn't big enough, and so I wasn't ever really interested in showing up for myself. I had no why. I was in a corporate 9 to 5, really not interested in building empires or empowering people around me. It was more about just showing up to the job. So depending on where you are and what your situation looks like on a day to day, that showing up for yourself can be really crucial to building self-trust. And that's really important. So remembering how I feel when I don't show up is number one. And then you mentioned like kind of like a self-regulating to your crystals, right? I really like the idea of just self-regulation. Like, what is it that's going to get you back to where you need to be? And I've even told people, like, if you're having that bad of a day, maybe it's time that you do like close the computer, go home, decompress, right? How much more productive are you going to be if you're able to self-regulate and then go out and be productive? So also knowing that fine line of like when it's time to rest and when I'm just not showing up because I'm just not feeling like it. But once you get past that hump of like really pushing yourself to show up, and you just feel better about yourself every single time. That's all. That's pretty much all I do. I really do think it's like a true test of like self trust.
Mm-hmm.
I like the
I
being in tune with yourself and how your body's feeling too.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
align with that for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I wrote down some things that I definitely want to jam on later, maybe if we can chat on Yappy
Well,
Hour, because I got
oh
some
yeah,
nuggets from that.
I love
Yeah.
that. Chey,
They show
girl, what do you do?
You guys pretty much covered like exactly what everything that I was gonna say. Like I am if you guys watch our channel, this today is probably, you recognize it, don't look great. I had an extremely busy week in Miami for my job, and flew home yesterday. I hate flying. I get really puffy. I didn't eat a very healthy meal for dinner last night, like AKA like love the podcast, love these ladies, but I don't necessarily want to be recording today. But this is something that I promised to show up for every single week. And so I may not look great. I may not feel great, but I learned through the last probably like 4 or 5 years that how important it is to keep the promises that you make to yourself. Mm-hmm. And, and if you show up, then you're keeping those promises to other people as well, and then like Morgan said, builds up your confidence, like basically exactly, what I had written down. And so one of the only things really that I haven't heard yet, because I don't want to be repetitive, is when I was the flaker. Oh, my friends used to be so pissed at me all the time because I am the queen of flaking. And what I have learned to do when I don't want to go to the thing or show up for myself or whatever, what I used to do is while I was kind of getting ready, I would be like, I could say this or I could say this. And I'd be in my head trying to think of any possible way to get out of the thing. So now I try to get out of my head and into my body, where I'm not trying to come up with excuses. And because then if you think about it long enough, you're going to bail, right? Like I wasn't thinking that this morning, but like, for an example, like, okay, I could tell them that I'm sick. My calendar is full. I just got off a plane yesterday. Like, yeah, I could have said all of that, but instead I was like, I put some stuff on my eyebrows, threw my hair up. I wasn't thinking. I was like listening to music. And a way that I get myself out of my head is I sing the lyrics. So I don't have time to be thinking about anything else. And I'm like, just go, and so I get into my body and I'm like one foot in front of the other, and you're just going to show up and it's going to be fine. So
motion precedes emotion.
I love that.
Thank you for being here, Chey, because I was right with you this morning. I was like, and I tried using that stupid heatless curler thing that I still can't master. I was just pissed, sweaty, just like, no.
Well, just
we're all
like,
here. Look at us. We did it.
Thank you. And you too. Proud of us. Big trigger warning, body dysmorphia stuff. I do not do well with puffiness. I have really struggled with body dysmorphia my entire life. And like, when I look puffy, I don't feel worthy. And like, I was like FaceTiming with my sister this morning, and she was like, "Oh, you look like really healthy." And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, that means I've like filled out, And like, I get really freaked out about that. And I'm like, now I'm going to put this video of myself on the internet, whereas otherwise I would not be showing up on the internet today. And like, that's a whole thing that I'm working on, and it's just one hell of a battle. And but like with Brittany's being like, I don't like my outfit, so I'm not going. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I felt like I physically don't look good enough to deserve to be wherever. And I've come a long way, but like, it's still something I'm very much, dealing with. So
Ladies, raise your hands if that's also been you.
Well, 100%. And that's why I want to, first of all,
This
thank you
week.
for being so vulnerable as to share that like so blatantly. But it's so crazy because like so many people have a hard time with that. And Chey and I have very different body types, very different histories, very different, like a lot of things about us, but we still feel the same way about our bodies.
Yeah.
Like we look super different, but we feel the same way about our bodies, So when we're thinking about how other people see us or perceive us, I think one of the things that also is helpful is that like they are way too busy thinking about how they look. But you're hot, Chey. I love you.
Seriously.
She winked.
Gorgeous.
She winked at her. Lynn's, what
All
about
right.
you?
Sorry, the
Oh
train.
man.
I live next to a train, dear lovely people listening. So I have to mute myself every once in a while. Thank you. I
I'm
appreciate
just
it.
glad you guys can't hear the bird that's like freaking out outside my window. I don't think I've ever heard a bird like this. And actually, I don't know if it's a bird or a septic alarm. So
And
Hope it's
that's to
not
living in
mine.
the hills of Texas.
Lyndsay, I'm excited to
Oh,
hear what you have to say because yeah, I feel like you're gonna throw another extra little nuggie in there.
so mine's very different. I actually yesterday I had to go show up and do two different things that I've been putting off for a very long time, and both of them had long waiting rooms, crowds full of people, like not stuff. So I incentivize myself. And I forgot to bring them in here, and I don't want to stand up because everybody will see the pajamas I'm wearing right now. But I incentivize myself, and I actually stopped and got myself my first pair of Jordans, and they're flowered, and they're the most Lyndsay ass pair of shoes I've ever seen in my life. But I have this theory that you could incite an entire civil war with neurodivergents if you gave them the right reward system. I'm
yeah.
seriously, like it's
Big
it's what
Brother is
how I do
listening. Don't give them
everything.
any ideas.
I promise
Right?
you, if you get me a new workout set, I am up in the gym and I'm about to have a killer workout
Yeah.
just because I'm
Oh,
in a
yeah.
new outfit. 100%.
You got to romanticize the
Oh,
small
yes.
stuff too. Like I agree with that, Chey. Like when I get all cute for yoga and I feel like I'm like in my zone and I smell good, I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Like literally
100%.
just to feel good to like be sweating to death, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But
And I'm basically a human hummingbird or a bunny because I am highly incentivized by food. Oh, snacks.
I get
Snacks will
that.
get me a long way in life every day. It's the
That's
problem.
so real.
Big
Yeah.
snacker. But no,
I'm with you there.
I incentivize myself.
And then we wonder why we were all so into door to door for so long. They're like, if you do
Oh,
this
yeah.
many deals, you're gonna get a pair of shoes.
yeah.
I still have my KitchenAid mixer.
Yeah,
Use
I
it all the
have
time.
an electric bike and a hoverboard. I'm not pissed at all. I worked way harder for all the incentives than I ever did for money. I'm like,
Oh,
cool,
yeah.
cool, 6 figures, cool, cool. But like,
But what about this electric bike though?
yeah.
I wonder if that's why there's so many of us in that general direct sales
1,000%.
industry.
Yeah. And like it's so true. It can be something as simple as like a coffee. Like I really don't want to run this errand or go to this event, but on the way I can get a nice latte and that's enough for me to get up out of this house. That's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So on the backside of that, a lot of showing up also, and this leads us into our next segment perfectly, but showing up on a confidence curve. And so what I mean by that is how do you show up for things when you're not ready? Because that's a big part of generally what will hold me back from wanting to show up to things is that I I'm very data driven in anything new that I do. Personally suffer a lot of anxiety unless I know what to expect, who's going to be there, what I need to wear, if I'm going to be overdressed or underdressed. Like there's a lot of anxieties that go into like new situations for me. And so like, is it just me or is everybody else out there also showing up on a confidence curve to a lot of stuff? Maybe it's being queen of the pivot as I am, and I'm constantly, learning into something new. And I don't call it like turning, I call it learning into something new. So let's talk about showing up on the confidence curve. Mine is very simple. I use my anxiety as fuel. And those of you that have watched me go to give a speech that I've never given before or talk in front of a crowd of people that I've never been in front of before, you will see me do a lot of research. Like it's very data driven because I envision every possible thing that could go wrong and then figure out a solution. I 8 mile my own brain, basically, is I create all of the potential environment objections that could happen, and I figure out a way to loop back through those to keep on track before the event or the thing or the experience even begins. So I
How
call
on
that,
earth, how do you use anxiety as fuel? Like, can you go into that? Because my anxiety is crippling and it is.
So basically, how do you let it propel you forward instead of holding you back?
so I blueprint my anxiety, because my anxiety happens in a very visual way in my brain. It's almost like a train, really. Then there's like car after car after car of thought into thought into thought, and the next thing that could go wrong, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, right? And so I envision like there's links that keep train cars together, right? And so as I'm going from train car to train car, I'm like, okay, the link that's holding this one to the next one is this. I
So
use
it's
the
like
Post-it
over
notes a lot.
preparation.
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah.
That makes
Really.
sense.
Because I've just learned over the years that that's the only way that I can feel fully prepared, is if I've gone through my train of worry and I've excused them all. Because that's really what I'm doing when I'm coming up with those solutions, is I'm excusing that worry from my
You may
brain,
go.
is
You
really
may
what it's
go.
doing.
Yeah.
Yep. Next.
Well,
Come on.
I had
Solution.
someone tell me once, like, action beats anxiety. And I was like, oh, dang. Okay. And so like, it did become less crippling, like when I went into it with that mindset, because one thing, I'm like, really good at sales, like really good. And I love sales. And I still, to this day, I've broken 1 billion records. I've been at the top of this sales org, this one, whatever. And like, I will still go into a sales situation being like, what if I don't sell? And I'm like, well, start calling people or start knocking on the door, sister, and then boom, I'll get deals and I'll be like, oh, well, that was silly, because I just put it into action rather than being like, I guess I just won't try because my chest is about to explode.
Well, and so that's the second part of it for me, is that I've, and I'm older than y'all by a little. But part of it for me is that I am data driven. So I also can instantly recall all of the times that I've been anxious about these situations, gone through this process, and it's been great. So you have to also have that recall. You do. But that's really how you can even do it on Post-it notes where you're writing it out. And that actually can be even better than in your brain, because it's more of a physical expulsion of the concern. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I just experienced some of that this past weekend. So I just got back from Miami. I am in the insurance industry, and it's pretty new to me. And we had a conference, and I was like, I don't know what people wear to this. I don't know what to expect. Usually when I go to a conference, I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor. People know who I am. They're excited to meet me. And I'm like, I'm going into this like kind of at the bottom of the barrel here, and like check my ego, and like just pure panic about what I'm going to wear, just all of that. And I actually I did the preparation thing. I'm just in real time realizing I went to the company's website. I looked at their last year's conference, saw pictures. Now I have a basis of what people wear, got outfits, looked cute, felt confident. A lot of people, to my surprise, were excited to meet me. And I got to introduce myself to a lot of people. But what I did too is that when you're, on a confidence curve, I went into the conference from a learning and networking perspective, rather than I'm a mentor and I'm here to teach people and people are like excited to meet me. I had to change my perspective into, this is a great learning opportunity. I'm going to meet the right people, and to just freaking show up, because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be better than what you expected. How many times, like, raise your hands here, if you have talked to yourself on the way to an event or even a social outing, you're like, I don't want to go, this is gonna suck, and then you get there and on your way home you're like, I am so glad I did that. Yeah, I am so glad I went. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Even like right now, when we started the last segment that we were doing, I was just sitting here thinking, like, I am so tired. How am I going to make it through this episode? And literally right now, I already feel more energized, happy to be here, feeling excited to, see this through. And so, the preparation thing, yes, like, dude, if I had showed up in like jeans and a tank top because I didn't even think to prepare, I would have had a freaking panic attack in the bathroom because everyone else is in business casual. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like preparing, but also like as simple as it sounds, just go, just show up, just go. Like I wanted to cancel my flight so bad. You guys have no idea. I wanted to cancel that flight so badly, but I am so, so glad that I went, and it was great. And so understanding that like anxiety, like not feeling confident in something very commonly is going to cause anxiety. Understanding that anxiety is the fear of something that hasn't even happened yet. And so like at least go give yourself a shot by like showing up and proving to yourself that the likelihood of everyone pointing and laughing at your outfit at an insurance conference is probably not going to.
Well, and not to mention, I was going to say, Chey, like I've been going to conferences for literally 15 years now, conferences, trade shows, all this stuff. I literally love being the only person wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I'm like, yo, like I'm wearing like really, really high quality athleisure. You look really uncomfortable. I'm super comfy. So
I will pack 17 pairs of heels for a 3-day conference. So
opposites.
we're all
Yeah.
different animals. Man.
Yeah, Lyndsay brings like a portable wardrobe, and it's just like
and you guys
stilettos
know,
and lots of red.
like the neurodivergence that we've talked about and how clothing feels on our body is
Chey
like,
and I are literally wearing the same sweatshirt.
yeah, like I had a very difficult time sitting in a conference for 8 to 10 hours in business casual. It sucked, but like it was the appropriate attire, and so I just like dealt with it. But yeah, it was not great. So anyway.
But then when your confidence is curved of I am that bitch, then you wear whatever the hell you want, athleisure, and know with confidence that it literally doesn't change anything.
Yeah, but I'm still in a confidence curve in this particular realm. So
I wish I had that the opposite curve of confidence like you're talking about, Morgan. Do you guys really want to know the reason that I overpack for all those things? I am so terrified of ending up being pulled on stage or filmed in something that's permanent.
Yeah.
Man, I got problems. I gotta deal with that because that is not a normal set of anxieties.
It's hard. Physical appearance and how other perceive perceive me is a huge driver for, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing, and I'm not saying it's definitely something that I need to like work on, but like I feel you. Like I thought there were cameras everywhere, and I was like, I'm gonna end up on this goddamn Instagram page. What do I look like? I mean, I went to the bathroom and checked myself so many times. It's like really, it's kind of makes me sad that I'm 31.
And Morgan wakes up with shiny skin and flowy hair. So
yeah.
So, but I will be honest with you guys, it was almost like a transition for myself of like figuring out who I am and like what makes me, because like Chey, you're very similar in that sense where like you love wearing athleisure. Yeah. I love dressing up, but I also love being my most comfortable self. And what's so ironic about the whole entire thing is when I would put in all this effort and get all ready, I felt like I didn't get that many compliments. And then when I go to a last minute conference, like I did in Orange County last month, throw something in a bag and I'm wearing tennis shoes and jeans and like a random black t-shirt that says something funny on it, I'm getting way more people that are like, that's a cool outfit. And so in my mind, I'm like, it literally doesn't change anything. Like it's your perception regardless, you know? So it's everything is our perception and how we were programmed and all these things. But how I feel and show up as my most confident self has to do with me being comfortable. And so if I'm like wearing uncomfortable shoes and I'm like fidgeting with my stuff all the time, I feel like for me, that's more of of a downside to like, I mean, even just like wearing, like if I was wearing like something strapless and I have to keep pulling it up. So in my mind, I'm like going through how this is going to play out throughout my day as well. If I know I'm going to be gone for 10 plus hours a day. But yeah, I really do think it's your perception.
And you know,
I love that.
I'm going to tell you guys this in real time. I forgot to turn my phone on do not disturb before the episode started. So I just got a notification, and I like cannot help but check it. I have a problem with that. But anyway, here I am sitting here talking about all these nerves. I shit you not, I was so close to canceling this flight. I did not want to go because I had so much anxiety. And my business partner just texted me, and he said that the CEO of the company that I work with pulled him aside this weekend and said, where in the world did you find her? And what do we have to do to make sure that she thrives, because she deserves to be on that stage next year? And I almost didn't show up because of my anxiety, but I showed up, and like, look at that. So
and
like,
now you're like, whoop.
Yeah, like let it be known that showing up can change your everything. Mm-hmm. Showing up to one thing, it can change everything. So
I heard a really good podcast. It was like a really quick, it's on my Band-Aids playlist, but it's a really quick like blurb from Grant Cardone. It's like years ago. I probably saved this in like, I don't know, 2016, 2017. And he literally just spends like a solid couple minutes just like just show up. Just show up. You're never going to get anything if you don't show up. Like show up however you need to show up, but just show up. And I just like play that in my head a lot. And like you've been saying that a lot so far on this episode, and I think that that is such an important factor, because like you can do all the things to like get ready, feel ready, your rituals, like my little rocks and everything, but it's like, you know, I can feel good all the way up to the door and then still let it eat me and me not walk in. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel like so much of this is like learning ourselves and learning who we are so that we can be comfortable, because I think a lot of discomfort in your skin comes from like not knowing really who you are. So everything you try on feels weird because you're not sure what you're made of. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
feel like that's why I think the process of like personal development or self-discovery, or like whatever you want to call it, like I think one of the reasons that so many neurodivergents are successful entrepreneurs or successful in some realm is because they are very introspective people. And they spend so much time in their own heads trying to dissect and analyze what's wrong with me. What can I do better? Why am I not like this? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like that you can't get anywhere if you're trying to ascend to anything if you don't really turn it inwards, because the only way to go up is in. Like,
Love that.
yeah.
so yeah.
You said you
with
said
that.
going up is in. Britt, I want to make sure you're done before I jump in.
No, I'm done. I was just
Snap.
propping.
Because I had so many mentors in my last couple of years say, like, maybe you should look at yourself in this situation as opposed to like posting blame. But when it comes to the confidence curve, there's just so much that goes into, like you said, the anxiety, you let it push you, let the fear propel you. Like that's been something that I've literally preached for years and years and years. It's like, you have two choices. You can either use your anxiety and fear to like become a little hermit and shell and like never leave the house and become depressed, or you can use that fear and anxiety to literally propel you into the future. And the reason that most people don't make it in entrepreneurship is quite literally because that fear starts to eat them alive. That anxiety, they don't use it as a power, they use it as a weakness. And you show up as that person like day one, even if you don't know anything. So you're pouring yourself into rooms of people, like Chey was saying at the events, like like how I met all of you guys, putting yourself out there, going to mentor.
Yeah, you DM me.
Yeah, I'm like, are you like doing door to door in Vegas? Because like I did it to Chey too. I'm like, is anybody normal doing this job? Like I just need to figure out if anybody that I actually like might be relatively similar to.
None of us are normal.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
wanted to
define normal.
I wanted to connect with people like me that were also doing this job that I was like, is this a real, but showing up as her and like reminding yourself that like I am that bitch, like even on the days you don't want to be. And that you can hold that power, but you just have to give yourself the opportunity. So my big hack is I call a friend. Like, especially, I think I've called each one of you at some point in my downfalls.